So you've just picked up a Windows mixed reality headset. Now you're looking for some games to play, but you're not quite sure what will not work with this platform. Well, in this ongoing series, we take a look and see what games play nice with WMR and what games really don't get along, and if there are any fixes for it. Now, I could tell you my entire life story. I know that's what you want to hear. However, instead of doing that, we're going to go ahead and get into our first game, or should I say experience. So first up, we have an update to my coverage of the Kremer Collection VR Museum for my last video. In my last video, I was using the Oculus Store version, which was pretty much unusable, wouldn't let you teleport around. Somebody recommended I give the Steam version a try, and it works fantastically. Movement is done by teleportation, and you teleport via the D-pad on your controllers. Whenever you place your thumb on the D-pad, it will sense it, and then a highlight of where you're going to teleport to will pop up. This experience has absolutely fantastic detail, whether it's a copper carving from Rembrandt or a painting getting the cracks and ripples in the varnish. It looks absolutely amazing. And if you get a version of this or you want to try it out, get the Steam version because it actually works. Red Matter is a mystery puzzle game where we play an U.S. equivalency agent who's been sent to the Saturn moon of Rhea to investigate an abandoned base belonging to the Russian equivalents. In this game, we have to solve a series of puzzles to progress through the base to figure out exactly what transpired here, what happened to the former occupants. This game works very well with Windows Mixed Reality, at least with my headset. Some frame rate issues here and there, but nothing too bad. There are really only two problems I had with this game in regards to how it interfaced with my Samsung Odyssey Plus. One was whenever I had to take my headset off, which I do on occasion because it gets a little sweaty in there, I usually had to do a little dance, a little bit of squat, a little bit moving back and forth for the game to register that I was back. Essentially, it'd kind of freeze, and then once I did my little jostling, it would start to track my controllers again. Now, the big issue with this game is the control configurations. Obviously, this was designed for Vive ones, and there might be a WMR controller preset I just hadn't found, but it's fairly awkward. While you can move around with either smooth locomotion or teleportation, and it has snap turning, it's all done with the right D-pad instead of using the joysticks, which was fairly awkward. Not unusable, but something that was kind of cumbersome while playing the game. Never really inhibited the gameplay, but just something to be aware of when you're going into it, and you might want to fiddle with the controller bindings a lot. Also, when switching between your tools, you did that with the left D-pad, and you want to make sure that, to ensure that it tracked where your thumb was, that you actually slid your thumb across the D-pad instead of just going right to it. There is a scanner you have to use quite a bit in the game, and I oftentimes found myself not opening it up because the game thought my thumb was still in the middle of the D-pad or on the right side of the grabber tool instead of being in the section for the scanner, which is a fairly large section. So you just have to make sure that you get used to sliding your thumb over so it properly registers that. But besides that, if you're a fan of this type of game, then this is definitely one you want to pick up and give a try. So we're going to finish up with The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And this is actually a game I've had a lot of issues with when I first initially started playing the game. And I'm going to show you how to fix these problems, at least what I did, and the issues stopped, but here in just a minute. But when I first booted up and started playing Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, I noticed I got a lot of stuttering, a lot of frame drops, low frame rates. And, you know, in a flat screen game, that's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, it's annoying. Sometimes it can hinder gameplay. Of course, in a VR game, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be sick. And it's really something we want to try to avoid. So here's the fix. So once you're in Steam, you're going to want to find The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. You're going to want to right-click and go to Properties. And what we're going to do is we're going to modify the Set Launch options. So when you click on that, you're going to want to put in these two instructions. Now, I'm going to include these into the description of this video, so you can just kind of copy and paste them in there. It seems to be one of the issues that this game was having is that it was only using one of the CPU cores. And of course, for VR games, as we know, those are fairly resource intensive to say the least. Now, the heap size, I think that has something to do with increasing the memory on the graphics card that's using. Apparently it defaults to only using like half or something like that. And once I put these in there, hit OK, it seems to have cleared up the issues I was having in game with stuttering and frame drops and low frame rates. Now I still get these issues with the initial logos when the game's loading up, and in the starting menu until I hit that the menu button to recenter the screen. Then it seems to stop. And of course, including footage of that here. Now, since I've implemented the fix, I cannot recreate the issues I was having when I undo the fixes that I made. That I just showed you. Now, The Walking Dead Saints Sinners seems to be decently updated, so maybe they fixed the issues overall. You might not run into it. However, if you are still having, or if you let up and have these issues, give this a try. It worked for me. Probably won't work for you, but it's worth giving a shot. Now, since I've implemented this, the game runs pretty well. It's fairly smooth. It's not janky like Boneworks, but not quite as polished as Half-Life Alyx. Unlike Boneworks, if you go to stow a gun or like an axe or something like that, sometimes you put it over your shoulder, you tuck into your armpit, you don't hit that hitbox just right, and it falls to the floor, which is annoying when you're trying to switch between guns and you got guys on you. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners has a much more generous hitbox for stowing your equipment, grabbing your backpack, using the lights and the little notebook that you have. But I do have a little bit of an issue with tracking two-handed pieces of equipment, whether it's something like the axe or a two-handed weapon like the shotgun. I've noticed that it does have a tendency to lose tracking for one of those controllers. More so the shotgun while you're aiming. That front controller, that's my left hand, will oftentimes get stuck, with the enemy. I have to make sure my controllers are decently far from my face. Of course, that's to be attributed to the inside-out tracking. Also, whenever swinging the axe, I'll lose tracking on my right hand, because that's one usually at the top, because that's one that's going behind my head. And with Saints and Sinners, they really want you with the melee weapons to do a full sweeping motion with them, or else it just kind of glances off the zombie, which again, that's a little bit of a stylistic choice, gameplay choice versus limitation of the hardware. But if you are playing with one of these Windows Mixed Reality headsets or inside-out tracking in general, just kind of be aware of that. You have to be very careful with the way you're moving your firearms or your axes and hammers and things like that. And I haven't had a lot of playtime with this game, just because zombies really aren't much my thing. However, I've played a few hours of it. That usually is enough to give you a good feeling of how things are working, if things do or do not work. Now, if I do continue to play this game, which I probably will, if I can get myself into it, and I find any additional issues, of course I'm going to throw an update in this video just like I did with the Kremer collection, because I want to make sure that I'm giving good information, updated information, and sometimes things change. An update will break something. A lot of times things get fixed. However, if you're interested in the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, if you're having an issue, try that fix I'm including in this video. However, once that fix has been implemented, I've had a fairly good experience with The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, so you really shouldn't have any worries about picking it up, because it seems like any issues you do have are fairly easily fixed, or they're just general issues you have with inside-out tracking. And that's going to conclude this video. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate that. If you enjoyed this video, this is going to be an ongoing series. So please make sure to subscribe, like the video if you liked it, throw a comment in the comment section, even if it's to say, hey, you suck. I can take it most of the time. And again, I want to reiterate, I really do appreciate you watching this. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.